Welcome to the Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership Podcast. Subscribe now so you don't miss a drop of straight talk you can't get anywhere else. We discuss the whiskeys to drink, music to listen to, and what it really takes to be an effective leader. I'm your host, Galen Bingham, the leadership strategist. Tonight's guest, author, publisher, philosopher, and TEDx speaker, Karen Weaver. Hey, what you drinking? So every now and then, I try to leave the shores of the United States and meet some interesting people that have interesting stories, and they do amazing things. And that's who I bring onto the show. It's been a while since I've done that. And I can tell you for a fact that I have never been to this country, but it's on my list. So for this guest, we are traveling all the way to Australia because there is someone there that I've got to get you to meet. I've got to have you meet Ms. Karen Weaver. How are you doing, Karen?
I'm doing great, Galen. Thank you for coming the whole way to Australia for our conversation.
Oh my gosh! Well, this is about as close as I can get until I get I get a little bit more money under my belt to make that trip, because I can't just go to Australia for the weekend or for 10 days. I'm gonna have to spend like a month or two in Australia because you guys, it's one of those wonders that you've got to see for yourself, I'm told.
Oh, it's just beautiful. It's stone my heart. I moved here from Ireland 17 years ago, and I'm blessed to live between both. But it takes you a day and a half to get here from the US, Galen, so you gotta be dedicated.
Yeah, you gotta be prepared that this is what you want to do. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to get into this conversation. I'm getting ahead of myself. I haven't even asked the most important question, and that is, well, I got two questions for you, but I'm weave into the answer to this question. What time is it there? But the important question is, so what you drinking?
I am drinking some moringa juice because it's 6:30 in the morning here. So there you go. I've answered both your questions in one.
Oh my gosh, 6:30 in the morning. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna have to check out some moringa juice. I don't know where I could find that here in the States, but
Green, Galen, and it's good for you.
I gotta figure that out.
I put a bit of lemon juice in there to soften the blow.
Ah, man. Okay, so that means that I've got to really, really deliver on the whiskey piece so that my listeners will continue.
I can't
Yeah,
do whiskey at 6:30 in the morning.
and I get that. I get that. So I decided to give my listeners a treat. So this is going to be an audible treat because you can't join in this with me. But when we talk about whiskey that demands attention, Barrel Craft Spirits Dovetail isn't just another bottle on the shelf. It's a masterclass in blending. It's a whiskey that refuses to play by the rules. This is an American whiskey. It's a bourbon. It's aged in Cabernet barrels, blackstrap molasses rum casks, and toasted French oak. And you talk about being creative. That mixes a whole bunch of different flavors. On the nose, it's got some dark fruit. It's got some oak. It's got a whisper of molasses. But then when you taste it, you get like a hit of the figs. You get some caramelized sugar, some toasted spice. This does it. I'm gonna go ahead and
I love
get
it
some.
that it doesn't follow the rules.
It's let's get some of this. Get some of this in my glass. Let's go ahead and pour me some of this. This may be one of the more complex whiskeys that I have before crossing over into Scotch. So I'm going to hit a little bit of this, just a little bit.
This conversation's just about to get interesting. And
Oh,
also, again, I have a whiskey story for you, by the way.
okay. Oh my God. And this one, this is really tasty, and it also clocks in at 131.5 proof. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to nurse this through our conversation. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your background, about your story, because you and I met on another show, and I was just so captivated by our conversation that I started bugging you to be on this show, and I'm so glad you relented because it was about to get embarrassing. If you hadn't said yes, it was going to get embarrassing. So tell us, share your story with our listeners.
Absolutely. So hello everyone. I am Irish. I was born in Ireland and then raised in Northern Ireland, through the Troubles as well. But I was a teenage mom at 19. My eldest son is now 28. And I I just always have a zest for life. I love life. Life is for living. I was always blessed to have grown up in unconditional love, to be able to be curious and adventurous in life. And then, of course, as life happens, I hit a dark period, and that brought me to my knees and went through PTSD. Was very blessed that I knew what was happening because I had worked in mental health for a while. And so I knew it was happening, but I didn't like it. I had to go through every day. I was in PTSD for I'd say 14 months. And then and if anyone knows PTSD, you're numb to emotion. How are you supposed to shift your reality whenever you're numb to emotions? And I was just, went inside. I call it my cocoon period. And then I had a double miscarriage, which broke my heart. But the blessing in it, Galen, was that I started to feel again. I started, even though it was feelings of sadness, feelings of grief, I was feeling again. So with that, I flooded tears for those babies. I flooded tears for the 14 months that I lost. But then I stepped into something really beautiful, which was possibility, which was not given a whatever people thought.
Go for it. I mean, we drinking whiskey.
And I just said, you know what? Life is for living and I'm going to go for it. And all of a sudden, it's as if I shifted right onto the right path for me and aligned with something just truly miraculous. And I got pregnant again straight away with my beautiful daughter, who is my third child. And then we got our visas to come to Australia. We finished building a house and locked it up and moved to Australia that year. It was a year of everything just happening. It was just beautiful. And I waddled to Australia 35 weeks pregnant with my third child. To the outside world, it seems totally irrational. And even to me, I'm going, yeah. But the one thing I've learned in life that every next courageous step that is aligned with the big burning desires in life always seems irrational to the outside world. And it takes courage, but never in one moment did I think I wasn't doing the right thing. Never did I question it. I just knew that it was the right step for me and my family, even though we knew nobody in Australia. We didn't know the health system. We had 2 nights booked on the Great Eastern Highway in a motel. We had, it seemed crazy, but everything worked out. And I had full faith that it would. And so it was the best decision I ever made. I found writing when I came here. I found myself when I came here. I went on a spiritual awakening. It was just the most profound experience. And I've been here 17 years this year. So yeah, I love it.
Okay, so I've got a ton of questions, but the first that's just staring me in the face is, how do you decide to go to Australia if you don't know anything about Australia? You don't know anyone there. I mean, how did Australia pop into your mind?
It's just called. And whenever something calls again and you can't ignore it, you know? As I said, I'd been through a dark time, so I was ready for a change. So I said, we'll go and give it 2 years, 2 years felt like 2 months. It was crazy. And we just embraced it and went for a new experience, thought of it as, we're going to give it a go and see where it goes. And if it doesn't work out, well, we'll come back in 2 years.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so you are starting to step into one of the first things that I try to do with my guests, and that is to get your perspective on the meaning of the name of this podcast. I've pulled all three together because I like all three literally: whiskey, jazz, and leadership. We talk about my metaphor and what the metaphors mean to me. Whiskey is doing what you enjoy with the folks you enjoyed with. Jazz is finding a way to get from where you are to where you need to be, even in situations where you either don't have a script, you don't have sheet music, or that just it's not going to work this time. I got to come up with something else. I got to improvise. I got to figure something out because my plan is not going to work. So for me, that's jazz. And leadership for me is the point about taking action. We can write all the white papers. We can do all the strategizing. We can invest tons of money in marketing. But if it doesn't end with somebody doing something, we can't call that leadership. And so that's what the metaphor means to me. That's been at the core of all the things that I've been able to accomplish personally, and a lot of the executive coaching that I do with clients today. But I want to learn from you. Does that metaphor fit? I hear some jazz in this going to Australia, but how does that metaphor fit with you?
Absolutely. Well, as I think like in the time we spent together, you know that I am all creative, all I just embrace things, and that's just it's so important that then I share that and I take action that's going to inspire others. And it just becomes natural to me. So I've always been that. I think it might be because I'm the eldest of six. I've always been a leader, and wanting to lead and do the right thing and help people. But it just fits. You've got those three elements, and they just encapsulate life, a fulfilled life. Isn't it, Galen? That's it. Whenever you embody these things, you have a fulfilled life. And action is where, the leadership is where the action is. And we can have all the dreams and we can have all the aspirations in life. But if we don't take the action, we're just going to be dreaming and drifting our way through life and not feeling fulfilled. So it's important. Those three components together are what leads to a fulfilled life.
Mhm. Oh, so true, so true. Now you've written. I don't even know if I can count all the books that you've written. You've written, let's say, a couple dozen, several dozen books. You've got some books under your belt. Tell me a little bit about what kind of courage does it take to put your thoughts into the world for other people to evaluate and either embrace or not embrace. It's one thing to read other people's thoughts. It's another thing to say, "Here's my perspective on the world." What was that like for you stepping into that? Did you have a writing background, or was that some jazz for you as well?
That was pure jazz. There's nobody in my family or anyone in the history of I know in my family. I must go and research that actually, that has written a book. But and I was terrible at school. I'm actually dyslexic as well. So I have all the excuses in the world should I choose them. But the call to share my story in a book, in a fictional novel, go figure, um, was just too loud for me to ignore. And two days before NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, started, I became aware that it was even a thing. And the call was so loud because I had had an epiphany. So, because I had my double miscarriage that broke my heart, I never got the answer my heart longed for. No medical. I was like, why? Why did this happen to me? Because I have two beautiful, healthy boys. Why did I lose these babies? I wanted them so much. I needed them at that time in my life. They were a light at the end of a tunnel, and I lost them, and it just broke me, and I didn't understand why, and I always wanted an answer why. And there's women are supposed to just pick themselves up and get on with life whenever they have a loss like that. There's no, it's just like, come on, in especially in Ireland, it was like, midwives were like, come on, Karen, just this happens all the time. Let's just get on with life and get on. But I wanted to know why. And my heart needed to know why. Why me? And then I was watching The View one day. Now, I was living in Australia. I had three young children. The daytime TV was not on. I actually had just had my fourth child. She was 4 weeks old. Daytime TV was not on. It was ABC Kids all the time. That was it. Keep the vibe up, keep the fun going. But for some reason, this day The View was on, and I remember Whoopi Goldberg was there, and a celebrity TV couple came on, and they were a reality TV couple. They had just endured a miscarriage, and I could see that the woman was still distraught, and they broached the subject, and Whoopi Goldberg turned her back to the television or to the cameras, and she said to this woman, I am going to tell you something that I tell all of my friends that this happens to. This was a visitor that came to guide you onto the right path in life. And if you do that, your gift will come. Well, it was like the biggest lightning bolt hit me. That was the answer I needed to know because whenever I lost the twins at 13 weeks, it was the light, it was just like I shifted from darkness to light and was back on the right path. And then I got my gift straight away. I got pregnant straight away again with my beautiful rainbow baby. And it just all fell into place in that moment. And I was like, I have to share this. And was writing for a website called Building Beautiful Bonds. This was pre-Facebook, Galen. And I was writing about my spiritual awakening and things that I would just say, I called them mindful musings, but they were getting picked up and put in the Universe in Mind magazine. And somebody found my article called "The Answer Is Love," and so my writing was starting to resonate with people, and so I said I have to share this message. So I wrote an article. That wasn't enough, and then I found this coffee bean that just led me, just this coffee bean in a really irrational place for a coffee bean to be, because we didn't have coffee beans in the house.
Huh.
And it was just there, and it led me to this thing that was called NaNoWriMo, and I was like, and it just resonated, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a novel, and it was starting in 2 days. And I said to my husband at the time, you don't have a wife for 30 days. I will love our children. I will take care of them. But for 30 days, I'm going to write a novel. And I had to write 1,667 words a day and for 30 days, and then I would have a 50,000 word novel. And I committed, I had a burning desire for that to happen. I said, if it doesn't, well, at least I've tried, but I have to try. And I had missing keys on my keyboard. It was like I was breastfeeding. Every time I was breastfeeding, I would type with the other hand. It was really interesting. But the words just kept flowing, the story just kept
Huh.
flowing, and that was The Visitor. And the visitor was what came and visited five women who each endured a miscarriage, who each went on their own journey. And I was one of those characters. And then four of them got a gift and one didn't. So it was just, I don't know where the story came from. It just came straight through me out onto that page. I read it and I
Wow.
go, did I write that? Wow. And a reviewer wrote about it. This book will keep you turning the pages because you won't know what's going to happen in the next page. Well, that's because I didn't know what was going to happen on the next
That was
page.
real. That was real.
It was real. It was really real. But that book was such an important part. And that one choice in my life was such an important catalyst because it led me into the world of writing. It led me into the world of knowing that I have stories to share that are going to impact the hearts and minds of people, and that editors are fabulous. Because I don't need to know I don't need a literary degree or an English major because that's what editors do. I tell the stories, they shape my book into what can be universally legible.
You've mentioned a couple of times in this conversation, and you've mentioned this a couple of times in our last conversation. This idea of a calling, or feeling like you're being called, or answering a call, and I've heard people talk about things happening once they've been introduced to their other self. It sounds a bit woo woo, but there's something to that. Talk a little bit about what do you mean when you say you were feeling called, or you once you finally were introduced to and embraced your other self, then all of this other stuff started happening that would have seemed totally outside of the realm of possibility before.
Well, welcome to my life, Galen. Ever since then, it's just been, it's as if I can just quantum leap between things, you know? Like, had I not chosen to do that, I don't even care to imagine what my life would have been like, you know, the experiences I've been able to experience. But one of the things that I know for sure is when you commit to something,
Mm.
once you take the steps and action it, the opportunities and inspired thoughts that you need to continue taking the next steps aligned with that vision, they come to you. And you can say it's woo all you like. I don't care. It works. I have the results. And if you've got results, I don't question it. I just embrace it, embody it. Why would you put a wall up there just because you don't understand something? Go and find out and understand what it is for you, because it's an individual thing. It's not a universal thing. It's not, it's nothing to fear. It's something to absolutely embrace, because I can assure you with all of my heart, if you embrace your next steps that are aligned with what you want to get out of life, but you got to know what you want,
Mhm.
or even know the essence of what you want and start taking the steps towards it. And it's an inside job. And some people just don't like going inside, Galen. I have noticed that. They fear it. They fear getting to know themselves. But whenever you get to know yourself and you're able to show up and talk to anybody in the whole world as if just with your own voice, it doesn't matter where they are in the hierarchy of things. Everyone is a human being. You can talk to them, connect. Doors open for you. Experiences come to you. And if they're aligned with where you're going and you do it with loving intention, it's a super fuel for all success. And also success is a personal thing. You need to know what your definition of success is for you.
Oh, I love this conversation so much. I talked with one of my clients earlier today, and we're talking about something similar in that I believe that we all know what we are here to do. We all know, and that voice that you hear, that calling, is that other self beckoning you to what you are supposed to be doing. But sometimes we can't articulate it. Sometimes we can't explain it. So if someone were to ask you, what were you put here to do? And you can't answer that question, we have a tendency to think, well, since I can't answer the question, I must not know. Well, you do know. It's just the part of the brain that controls knowing is not always the part of the brain that controls language. So I can know something and not be able to explain it. By the time this comes out, if your boy hasn't screwed it up, I will have been married to the same lady for 30 years. And if someone were to ask me, well, how do you know that she is the one and the one and only? Well, I know, but it's kind of hard for me to explain. But because I can't explain it doesn't mean that I don't know. And I think the same is true for our calling, for our purpose. And I'd love to get you to weigh in on this. I think that there is a part of us that knows why we were created at this particular point in time. And there's a part of us, that same part of us knows the mission that we are on and the responsibility that we have. I think there's a part of us that knows it, but that's not necessarily the same part of the body or the same part of the brain that controls language. Now, am I just drinking this dovetail a bit much?
You were talking my language, and I'm on the green juice. I just love it. Honestly, the thing is, you can ignore your calling at your own detriment. It will wake you up at 3 a.m. It will prod and poke you on to make you listen. It is your other self, as you call it. And one of the ways that I have learned to connect with my future self, I call it, is No, I'm not a big meditation person. Writing is my kind of thing for that. But there was one time I went to a retreat on Mission Beach in Australia, and it happened to be on a solstice. There's all these strange synchronicities. And 22 is my life navigation number. I discovered it was week 22 of that year. It was just really bizarre. Anyway, we don't question it, we embrace it and see. And so I done a meditation, and it was a future self meditation. So I'm not big in meditation. I've got my mind's very busy. I like it busy. I love it busy actually. But I relaxed, and I led, and I went, and I met my future self, Galen.
Mm-hmm.
And she is so awesome. And she's not too far from me. It just felt like a quantum leap away. Just a choice, a little shift. But I'm one that loves the destination, but I love the journey. Don't ever try to get rid of the journey. The journey is where the fun is. And yes, there's also adversities and growth. That's what happens. This is life. This is how we grow in spirit. But don't think I just have to go step to get to the destination. Enjoy the journey, shift your perspective of the journey. It's a beautiful thing. But I connect in with this future self always, because I was there, I was chatting to her, and I said, "Have you got a message for me?" And she said, "Karen, you're here to awaken those who sleep." And it was just like, oh, there's my second lightning moment. I was like, do you know what? I am. That's what I do through my writing. That's what I know I'm called to do. I want to be that bridge to awakening for others, because that's what I journeyed for myself. I woke up to my own potential. I woke up to, there is no cap on the things I can experience or can do in life. It's just a matter of choice, what we choose, and we will be called to it. And when it's aligned with a divine purpose, oh wow. That's when the fireworks go off in life. You just feel it, and you can't ignore that, Galen. But you can't predict it. You can't, you can navigate it with your thoughts and all of those things, which is wonderful. But there's nothing like a divine calling. And when you answer that call, oh boy, do all of these wonderful things just pour into your life. It's as if you've got a Midas touch. The flow. I want everyone to know what that feeling of flow and being aligned with your divine calling and stepping and walking in on that path in life. So many people don't do it. They're afraid. There's nothing to fear. And so many people retreat in the struggle because they think this is too hard. But that's one of the stages of the soul. The struggle is always the stage before the breakthrough. And if you just ride it out, and consume your energy, because you're going to need lots of energy whenever you have the breakthrough, because it all comes flooding in then. And I know from experience, I've experienced this cycle so many times, and it's beautiful. All it requires is you to believe in yourself and to embrace something that you need faith to understand.
Yo, that was just part 1. Subscribe now so you get part 2 as soon as it is released. Or better, become a VIP so you don't have to wait. Cheers.